Federal and state authorities paused distribution of the Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccine following safety concerns. A local tax expert explains why some people will wait a while for their tax refunds. Following a controversial police shooting in Minnesota, the officer involved and the police chief resigned.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
The CDC and FDA recommend the United States pause its use of the single-dose Johnson & Johnson vaccine. This is KOAM News at 5. This comes after the U.S. reports 6 rare but severe blood clots from the vaccine. Those 6 cases are the only incidents reported from the 6.8 million doses administered in the U.S. Local health officials say those who received this vaccine already should not be alarmed and should just be aware of possible side effects.
Yeah, if you've just recently received the vaccination, just be aware. Chances are high that you're not going to experience any side effects, that it's going to be a safe vaccine, but there are rare instances that have occurred.
Bergner says if you received this vaccine and start to develop severe headache, abdominal pain, leg pain, or shortness of breath within 3 weeks of the dose, you should seek medical attention with your primary care physician. The IRS is experiencing backups and delays leading to delayed tax refunds. Local tax professionals say a number of things are working against the IRS. Tax season didn't start until February, a month later than usual. The pandemic has slowed a lot of things down, and the department has been working to process stimulus payments at the same time as working on tax refunds that are often more complex than normal.
If you've already filed, go back through your return and, just check, make sure everything's correct. If you haven't filed yet, I would highly recommend it, getting you into that queue. People are getting their returns 2 weeks later. Some people are getting their returns 2 months later.
If you're waiting on your federal return, you can check the IRS's Where's My Refund tool on their website to see if your payment is still processing. Tonight at 6, we're going to hear how tax changes are impacting business taxes. Nick Kelly joins us now. A bit cool out there still, but it's good to see the sun today.
Yeah, but now the cloud cover is trying to take back control and some more rain chances are trying to sneak back in as well, Dal. In fact, we're getting a thin band of rain, mainly light rain, across our far northern counties, just north of 54, stretching north of Yates Center, north of Iola, Humboldt, and stretching down to about Uniontown and Fort Scott. But this is indicative of another upper level wave that's kicking in from the west. You can see how it's primarily kicking in more cloud cover for now, but it's trying to pull in more moisture and bring more lift in as well. So far, temperatures, they're mild, lower in the middle 60s across much of the board, but with this next wave rolling in, I'm seeing a better shots for more scattered showers picking up once we get past 10 o'clock tonight and going through the overnight. And the focus wants to be along and south of I-44, so that's something we'll keep an eye on as we track overnight lows dropping back into the 40s once again, but better rain chances on the way still. Full forecast in a bit now.
All right, we'll see you soon. Thanks, Nick. A police officer and police chief resign after a controversial police shooting in Minnesota. 20-year-old Dante Wright was killed during a traffic stop. Today, his family was joined by members of George Floyd's family to demand justice. Reporter Nancy Chen has more.
They murdered my nephew. She killed my nephew.
The family of Dante Wright expressed rage and sorrow over the sudden death of the 20-year-old at the hands of police.
I never imagined this is what was going to happen. I just thought maybe he was being arrested.
My son, he don't have a dad. His dad didn't get to see him for his 2nd birthday.
With the murder trial of Derek Chauvin underway in nearby Minneapolis, the family of George Floyd stood with the Wright family to offer support.
We're here. And we will fight for justice for this family, just like we're fighting for our brother.
Dante Wright was killed during a traffic stop Sunday. After pulling Wright over for an expired registration tag, officers learned he had an outstanding warrant stemming from 2 misdemeanor charges. When the officers tried to handcuff Wright, he struggled to get back in his car. That's Officer Kim Potter yelling she will tase Wright. But instead, she's holding her gun, which she then fires. In Brooklyn Center, north of Minneapolis, Wright's death sparked 2 nights of violence and calls for justice, including from the mayor, who thought the officer should lose her job.
We have received a resignation, a letter from Officer Kim Porter. And in addition to that, we have also received a letter of resignation from the police chief.
The medical examiner says Wright died from a gunshot wound to the chest. Nancy Chen, CBS News.
In a statement, former Officer Porter said she loved being a police officer and serving her community, but believed it was in the best interest of the community and her fellow officers for her to resign. In the murder trial of former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin, the defense presented body camera video from a 2019 arrest involving George Floyd. In that case, Floyd had high blood pressure and confessed to heavy opioid use. The defense maintains it was George Floyd's drug use and heart issues that led to his death last year in police custody. A use of force expert also testified today that Chauvin was justified in pinning Floyd down, contradicting several other police experts previously called to the stand in that trial. Federal lawmakers from both parties today announced a bill to streamline the process for obtaining veterans' benefits for burn pit and other toxic exposures. The VA currently requires vets to pay for tests, providing any illness is linked to that exposure. This proposed legislation would only require a veteran prove they were deployed in an area where burn pits were used in order to qualify. More than 3 million veterans may have come into contact with the dangerous fumes at overseas bases. Still ahead, how new tech could change our interactions.
It's a revolutionary new technology that could soon change the way we look at things. I'm Michael George, taking you into the world of mixed reality.
And next in Health Watch, some tips for parents to help their teens struggling with mental health issues. Two new studies published in The Lancet suggest that the COVID-19 variant first identified in the United Kingdom is more transmissible but does not increase the severity of the virus. Researchers found patients with the UK variant tended to be younger, and it also occurred more frequently in ethnic minority groups. A new study from the University of Birmingham found cognitive deficits in childhood could lead to mental health issues in adolescence and early adulthood. A team of international researchers found links between low attention, poor memory, and lack of inhibition in certain mental health conditions. Doctors say identifying those issues early could help to minimize the risk. COVID shutdowns have not only greatly impacted children's schooling, but also their mental health. A survey of teens ages 13 to 19 found 7 out of 10 teens are struggling with their mental health in the wake of COVID-19, and more than half say the pandemic has increased their feelings of loneliness. But parents can follow some tips to help their teen cope. 15-year-old Julia Byrne loves playing the trumpet. But her parents' divorce and a move across the country made some much-loved activities a little less exciting.
I just isolated myself and kept myself from doing things that I would enjoy because I thought I just didn't deserve them.
Then COVID-19 happened and she was forced to be even more isolated.
Which has just been hard, and it's contributed to me being suicidal for some time.
Julia was not alone.
This isolation has caused a lot of issues for teens.
43% of teens say they've experienced depression. 45% have experienced excessive stress, and 55% experienced anxiety due to the pandemic. So what can parents do?
We have to empathize. We have to listen, actively listen to what's going on.
Create a safe place where your teen can talk, and don't be afraid to ask your teen if they're thinking about hurting themselves.
There's a stigma that if you talk about suicide, then that might increase the opportunity for kids to attempt suicide or think about suicide, when the research says it's the exact opposite.
Adair normalizes talking about mental health in his book, Stronger Than Stigma, and says when parents normalize the conversation,
you rationalize it. When you talk about it, you make it something that you can work out.
Exercising and talking to a therapist have turned things around for Julia.
It was able to just help me focus on my mental health and finally start to pick myself up from that spiral,
allowing her to tune in to more positive notes. Parents can take a mental health test to see if their teen might be struggling with mental health issues at mhascreening.org. With more youth sports leagues returning to play this spring, a new study at the University of Michigan finds 25% of parents are giving league organizers poor marks when it comes to enforcement of COVID-19 precautions. Many health experts say COVID spikes can be linked to youth sports. A study in the journal Cancer finds prohibiting tanning bed use among minors would prevent thousands of cases of melanoma in teens. Indoor tanning is linked to an increased risk of melanoma and is highest for those who start using tanning beds at a young age. Nick Kelly is up next with his complete forecast. And a little bit later, the Treasury Department says last month's budget deficit reached another record high.
After some showers late last night into this morning, it was nice to see the sunshine back in action, even though we couldn't do a whole lot with it in terms of warming temperatures up. Looking back over the past 36 hours, you can see how we started in the mid to upper 40s on our Monday morning, and we did manage to rebound to about the lower to middle 60s across the board. Almost a similar story, but a little warmer this morning with lower to middle 50s for overnight lows. And then back into the lower to middle 60s once again. Looking at the setup right now, the Skywatch Storm Tracker again had in the pockets of sun, but now we're starting to see more cloud cover roll back in as another shortwave and subtle upper level disturbance rolls in from the west. You can see how it hasn't produced a whole lot over the past few hours, but during the 5 o'clock hour, we've noticed a more concentrated band of mainly light rain shifting north of US 54. So we're talking about areas north of Yates Center, Iola, Humboldt, and north of Fort Scott. But this is indicative of more rain chances that'll try to work in for some of you once again tonight and before sunrise tomorrow morning. Thankfully, I'm still keeping us mainly dry, partly sunny and mild for Wednesday and Thursday. However, unfortunately, I still have better rain chances working in on Friday, setting the stage for a rather chilly April weekend. Right now, though, at least from our vantage point from the station's rooftop, we're looking pretty good. Partly sunny skies, 62 with a north wind at 14 from Joplin Regional Airport. Most of the area, though, lower to middle 60s. Plenty of those numbers dotting the map right now. And again, once we get past sunset, it's going to be another drop back through the 50s. I think in our best shot for any scatter showers tonight sneaks in after 10 o'clock, dissipates by sunrise, and by then we'll be back once again mid to maybe some upper 40s for some of you. Let's broaden the view out. Let's look at our weather setup once again with the surface map. Even though the front that works through on Sunday is well to the south, there's another subtle boundary just above the atmosphere that's trying to work together with another upper level wave that's coming in from the west, and if we can get that set up through, it's again another subtle wave riding along the jet. That's going to pull in more moisture, more lift. It's already doing so with bringing more cloud cover in as we speak. And as we run you through the future track, here's 10 o'clock. Maybe a few showers in our far northwestern counties, but we'll keep the focus on any rain chances tonight. Scattered showers, mainly along and south of I-44. Then you see how it quickly jets in out of here by the morning drive. And we're looking okay once again for tomorrow, as mainly partly sunny skies will take control again. 47 in the morning, 60 by noon, highs around 63. Maybe a few showers to keep an eye on again as we go into tomorrow night, but still not looking like a big deal. Thursday, another cool start, and right back near 60 before the bigger wave out west rolls on in. And once it does, I'm thinking periods of light to moderate rain carrying us through our Friday with plenty of cloud cover in place as well. And with more waves rolling in with that jet well to the south, we're going to have to hold on to cloud cover, rain chances, and chilly temperatures. Numbers that we usually don't see for highs during the middle of April. 63 tomorrow, 60 on Thursday. We'll be lucky if we can hit 50 for an afternoon high on Friday. We stay in the lower 50s through the weekend. Fortunately, we'll bounce back to 62 on Monday, Dal.
Some big changes coming up in the days ahead, I guess.
Well, let's enjoy the next few days while we can.
Thanks, Nick. Coming up, I'll look at mixed reality technology and how it could change meetings. First, though, we honor a local veteran. Fred Sanders served in the U.S. Air Force from 1948 to 1968. His hometown, Oswego, Kansas. And we salute Master Sergeant Fred Sanders, a four-state hero. The bleeding on our nation's balance sheet soared to another record last month. According to the Treasury Department, the budget deficit rose to $660 billion in March. All told, the deficit for the first 6 months of the fiscal year is more than $1.7 trillion. The ballooning imbalance came as more stimulus payments went out. Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell says the U.S. economy is at an inflection point and that he expects growth and hiring to pick up in the next few months. Powell told 60 Minutes that he also does not expect to raise the Fed's benchmark interest rate this year. The USDA is recalling more than 200,000 pounds of raw ground turkey due to a salmonella risk. The affected meat was produced by Plainville Brands and sold under various Nature's Promise Free, Wegman, and Plainville Farms ground white turkey labels. The items were produced between December 18th and December 29th of 2020. Health officials say consumers should not eat the items. Millions of people have spent the past year working at home, and face-to-face meetings are now done on camera largely, but new technology is changing how we interact online. Reporter Michael George explains.
And I can reach out and grab it too?
Exactly. Here, I'll hand it to you a little closer.
Virtual meetings can now look a whole lot different thanks to these, the Microsoft HoloLens 2. So you pinch your fingers to draw. I'm wearing a pair in New York and can talk to Microsoft's Greg Sullivan in the Seattle area. Through the lens, I see his avatar in my apartment, and he can see mine. The company calls it Microsoft Mesh.
You can imagine we're brainstorming on a new movie, Attack of the Hermit Crabs, and there's the hermit crab from space, and we could storyboard out this whole thing and collaborate in 3 dimensions.
Now, if you want to buy one of these devices, you can't yet. Right now, they're being sold to developers who are experimenting with how mixed reality can be used at home, at work, or in the classroom. Other companies offer similar technology.
Glass is a hands-free device for smarter and faster hands-on work.
Google currently sells the Glass Enterprise 2, allowing a mechanic to see instructions for a repair, or helping doctors view patient records in real time.
You can look from the top, the side, the bottom.
Last year, surgeons at the UC Davis Health Children's Hospital used headsets from Magic Leap to prepare for an operation to separate conjoined twins. The doctors needed to figure out how to detangle shared blood vessels.
2 clips here eventually is a plan?
I think that's what I would do.
Eventually, Microsoft wants to upgrade from avatars
Over here.
to holoportation, projecting a lifelike image in a mesh meeting.
There it is. It's like I'm holding it in my hand.
It's technology that turns the virtual world into a hands-on experience. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
Technology seems fascinating. Attack of the hermit crabs, maybe not so much. Final check of the forecast up next. The CBS Evening News is next. Then on KOAM News at 6, we're going to hear more from area health officials about the paused distribution of the Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccine. Plus, a judge grants one of the suspects in a Lawrence County, Missouri murder a change of venue. And the Kansas State Treasurer stops by Pitt State to return some unclaimed property. Stay with us for the CBS Evening News and then KOAM News at 6. 12 Magellanic penguins were returned to the chilly seas off the Atlantic coast of Argentina after they were rescued and rehabilitated from health issues, including malnutrition and anemia. The boot-high penguins waddled down the windswept sandy beach after being released by conservationists. They paused for photos with onlookers, and then they took the plunge back into the sea and swam off to freedom. Experts say the lack of plumage forced the penguins to retreat to the beach because they could not maintain their temperature in the sea. Not exactly a penguin chilly around here, but a bit chillier than usual, Nick.
Absolutely. At least we'll keep things mild for the next few days. After some more scatter showers tonight, we're dry Wednesday, Thursday, highs in the lower 60s. We better enjoy the next few days before the rain chances ramp up for a chilly weekend ahead of us.
Thanks for joining us. The CBS Evening News is next. And of course, we're going to be right back here for KOAM News at 6. We'll see you then. In the meantime, let's take care of ourselves and each other.